Welcome back. So, as per our last video, what we have done is we have created the manifest folder. You started our kubelet. We've also cloned our repository and opened it in IntelliJ. We've also started the Docker watch, right? And we left it at something like that. Remember, what we are trying to do is we're trying to deploy a pod in using kubelet in the cluster. And by way of which, we are also going to learn some of the core responsibility of kubelets. All right, so let's move on. We will go ahead and create a YAML directory where we'll move all our YAMLs from our local machines to the K8 S master. So I will do mkdir YAMLs here and do ls -l to check if my directories all are nice and fine. Here is my IntelliJ. This is the file that we will use for deployment. Now, before I move this file from my local machine to the K8s master, let me tell you a bit about what this file is. This file is a YAML or a YAML extension file. This is the file which puts the specification of your deployment in such a way that Kubernetes container understands it properly. The other way to put it is, this is the way Kubernetes understands the deployments that it has to do in its cluster, right? So YAMLs are those deployments, right? Don't worry if you don't understand too much about it. I'm planning to have a separate series wherein I'll be explaining all these very core concepts with hands-on in that series. All right. So for now, I think it would suffice to understand that YAMLs are Kubernetes' way of understanding the deployments. All right. So our very first YAML that we are going to use here is Nginx, which is a very simple YAML. It says, it is type of pod. We'll also use replica kind or deployment kind. Later in the series, it deploys a very simple web server called as Nginx. All right. So for us to do that, we need to connect using FTP from our local machine to the K8s master. So this is where I am right now on my local machine, right? Let me go ahead and connect to the remote machine. My command is already there because I used it just now, all right? Do an ls -l, you are here, and pwd as well, right? You are in root, that's fine. Move to YAMLs, right? And just say put nginx.yaml into the current folder. That will move your file from your local machine, copy your file from your local machine to the K8s master. Where are you right now? Just check that. Go to YAMLs folder, ls -l. Yeah, you have your nginx.yaml here. All right, very good. So let's move this into the manifest folder because that is the folder which is being watched by our kubelet. And keep an eye over here on the Docker as well. See what the Docker does. All right. So we'll say cp nginx.yaml, move it to manifest. The moment you do that, don't worry about these warnings or the errors. It is all fine. You will see that a container called as pause container is deployed and an nginx container is later on deployed over here, right? So that is the first core responsibility of kubelet. It keeps on monitoring a manifest folder, and as soon as you put any deployment over here, it will do the deployment accordingly in the in the Docker. We'll come back to the pause container thing in a short while, right? So we have done all this, right? Yeah, we've done all this very well. Okay, now we'll try stopping the Nginx container and we'll see all those kind of things. But before that, let's just spend some time on pause container. Well, pause container is the actual container deployed by the Kubernetes software, right? This is our gateway to the actual container, in our case, Nginx. Uh, and basically we can query it, we can refer to it, we can send a request to it, and it will give us a response that we'll see in some time. For every container that you deploy, there will always be a pause container, as you'll see later on in the series. All right, what we'll do now is we will try stopping our this container, uh, our Nginx container, right? See what happens on the Docker window, right? Yeah, after some time, the Nginx container is redeployed. All right. So that is the other responsibility of Kubelet. Right. The first responsibility is it keeps on watching the folder. In our case, the manifest folder for any deployments that you pour into it. And the second responsibility is if the actual container has somehow crashed, it has gone down, it will redeploy it. All right. So let's come back here. Yeah, we've seen this. And it does it using pause container, right? Let's understand a little bit more about pause container, right? We'll curl and put a request to our into our containers. So we'll find out if our Nginx container has any kind of IP associated with it, so that we can query it. All right. So this is our Nginx container. If you put this over here, we'll see that we're not getting any IP address. But if we try to put the container ID of the pause container, we'll see that there is an IP that has got associated with it, right? And if you do a curl to this particular IP, you will see a response, right? So what it means is, my dear friends, that whatever request you send to a Kubernetes cluster, right, it first comes to the pause container and then it goes to the actual container, right? So it's kind of a proxy or an abstraction on top of the actual container, right? So let's go back to our our cluster installation instructions, um, and yeah, see till where we have completed. All right, and let's go back to our goals sheet and see whether we have done what all we have achieved. So we have achieved pod deployment using Kubelet. Yeah, we did that by pouring our deployment into the manifest folder. You understand core responsibility of kubelets like monitoring the manifest folder and also restarting the container in case they crashes. And also we know that for every deployment that we do on Kubernetes, there is always a corresponding pause container started by the cluster. That should be pretty much it for now. In the next session, we will start deploying some of the other core components of the cluster. See you next time. Thank you.